Hi, and welcome to Photographing and Communicating with Fairies. I'm Christina Schumacher, and I will be your instructor for this course. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you have my personal email so that if you have any questions, no matter what the question is, you can email me straight away, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. So that email is Chris, C-H-R-I-S, at faeryquest.com. Faeryquest, FAERIEQUEST.com. And that email will also be below this video. So let's move forward and get started with Fairies versus Faeries. If you go online and type in what is the difference between fairies, F-A-E-R-I-E-S, and fairies, F-A-I-R-I-E-S, you'll find that there doesn't seem to be any one answer. Some believe that both words mean exactly the same thing. Others designate them in accordance with their own belief systems. As far as I'm concerned, you can believe as you choose, deciding for yourself what each of these words means to you. However, for the purpose of the FairyQuest website and this course, I will share how I have interpreted these two words so you are aware of what I'm talking about throughout this course, depending on which spelling I use. For most people, I believe the word fairies, F-A-I-R-I-E-S, brings forth images of Walt Disney's Tinker Bell, either in cartoon form or perhaps they remember the movie Hook, where Julia Roberts played Tinker Bell and Robin Williams played Peter Pan. In this case, fairies, F-A-I-R-I-E-S, are tiny beings with wings, always perfectly proportioned with slim body, arms, long legs, and small enough to sit on, say, a flower. This is also the image that was so popular back in 1922 when the Cottingley photographs came to light. These photographs were purportedly taken by two young girls of real fairies and made popular by Sir Conan Doyle. This is how I depict fairies in my photo gallery on faeryquest.com as well, though I've found that the fairies come in all different shapes and sizes. If a being I photograph has wings and resembles the description of what I've given here, then I designate it a fairy, F-A-I-R-Y. On the other hand, I believe the word fairies, F-A-E-R-I-E-S, is a culmination of all the so-called mythical beings that have ever been conceived of, and they come in all shapes and sizes. This means that fairies, F-A-I-R-I-E-S, would be within the category of fairies, F-A-E-R-I-E-S, as would elves, dragons, trolls, gremlins, and so on. There's many different kinds of fairies, F-A-E-R-I-E-S, coming from folklore all over the world. So you might want to start familiarizing yourself with some of these as you begin photographing. The list for these fairies is really huge. Rather than trying to cover it in this course, I am referring you over to someone who has put their focus on just such a list. The link for this A to Z list is below this video. This link is just to get you started. Don't be afraid to look around for other lists on other websites that you might prefer. But remember that these lists are not going to be identical, and the descriptions may vary, so it will be up to you to decide what description rings true to you. As for the fairies that you will be photographing, and you will be photographing them, you might wish to take the time to determine what species each of your photographed beings fits into using a list like what we've talked about. But keep in mind that they may not fit into any of them. You may, in fact, end up creating your own list for those beings that don't fit any particular description. Don't discount your preset images either. And that means ones that you have of elves and trolls and dragons, the image you have in your mind of these, don't discount those. The only difference between a list description and the beings that you photograph will probably be in size and color. Some of the beings that you will be photographing will be very, very small, maybe not like the size description that you read on a website, and they may be even smaller than some of the leaves around them. I have created a list like this for myself using categories, or perhaps you could call them species, of human, human-like, dried leaf beings, grass beings, green leaf beings, stick beings, rock beings, tree beings, and so on. Now, this is not to say that the beings that I am categorizing look like this all the time. Some of them may have taken the form that I photographed when they heard me coming, just to blend in. Others of them may look exactly as you see them in the photograph. Remember too that by the end of this course, you will have the capability of communicating with every fairy that you photograph. Obviously, since I'm teaching you this course, I have that capability too. But back in 2016, when I actually photographed my first fairy, I was so excited that I didn't even think about communicating. I just ran out and took more and more photos and went through more and more photos. And before I knew it, I had hundreds and hundreds of fairies that I had not communicated with yet. So maybe someday I will take the time to go back through every one of my photos and ask the question, what type of being are you? But right now I just don't have that kind of time. You, however, can do this from the very start. Learn from me. Every photo that you go through with every fairy that you find, take a moment and ask the question, what type of being are you? And then make a record of this. This way you have your own list of these so-called mythical beings that you are photographing. And that list could be pretty comprehensive. So that's it for the Fairies versus Fairies lesson. Let's move on to determining what you need now to photograph fairies so we can get out there and take some pictures. See you in the next lesson.